Welcome back to Timeless Messages from the I Ching. This is Stephen. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. So the question for this particular reading is, what is the financial situation for the viewers in 2023? What is the financial situation for viewers in 2023? Essentially at the time that you find the video, to help you understand your situation, your financial situation. Now, this is in no way the only amount of information about your financial situation. Of course, this is just a small snapshot, a picture, but I hope that it is relevant and helpful to you. So the first hexagram that came through is number 22, Grace, and the second is number 44, Coming to Meet. And if you'd like to close your eyes and take a few deep breaths and have some stress reduction, I'll begin the interpretation. This hexagram shows a fire that breaks out of the secret depths of the earth and, blazing upward, illuminates and beautifies the mountain, the heavenly heights. Grace, beauty of form, is necessary in any union if it is to be well ordered and pleasing, rather than disordered and chaotic. So here we have the mountain on top and the fire below. Fire coming out of the secret depths of the earth and blazing upward, and thereby illuminating the mountain and giving it grace and beauty. The judgment, grace has success. In small matters, it is favorable to undertake something. Grace brings success. However, grace is not the essential or fundamental thing. Grace is only the ornament and must therefore be used sparingly and only in little things. In the lower trigram of fire, a yielding line, the yin line in the center, comes between two strong yang lines and makes them beautiful. But the strong lines are the essential content, and the weak line is the beautifying form. In the upper trigram of the mountain, the strong line takes the lead at the very top, the yang line at the top, so that here again the strong element must be regarded as the decisive factor. In nature we see in the sky the strong light of the sun. The life of the world depends on it. But this strong essential thing is changed and given pleasing variety by the moon and the stars. Likewise, in human affairs, aesthetic form comes into being when traditions exist that, strong and abiding like mountains, are made pleasing by a beautiful awakened beauty. By contemplating the forms that exist in the heavens, we come to understand time and its changing demands. Through the contemplation of the forms existing in our human society, it becomes possible to shape the world. So here we have the idea of grace being a fundamental, is not the fundamental or essential element. It's simply the ornament. And therefore, we shouldn't get too distracted by the beautiful thing or the graceful thing. It helps to make the strong thing more beautiful, as in the yin that comes between the two yang lines at the bottom, the clinging fire. The yielding line makes the two strong lines beautiful. But really, it's the strong lines that are the essential content, and the weak line is the beautifying form. Similarly, in the upper trigram of the mountain, the strong line takes the lead. Here again, the strong element is regarded as the decisive factor. In this, it continues on, it talks about nature and human affairs and society, again and again, reiterating the idea that the content is the most important thing. The beauty is nice, the aesthetic beauty, but the content that lies within is the key. And as we take this a little bit further, you can perhaps think about money, or the accumulation of money, the making of money, as a form of, a need. Of course, we need to have those financial abilities to take care of our needs. and to provide for food and heat and so forth, a power. But beyond that, the money can also be thought of as going beyond simply our needs into the aesthetic and the beautiful, which is nothing wrong with that. But we shouldn't go too far into our thought process of how aesthetically pleasing something is to the detriment of being aware of what is really the important thing, the content. And sometimes in our desire to make a lot of money, that can be similar to the notion of wanting to focus on the aesthetic, ornamental qualities of something rather than the deeper content that resides. So that's something to bear in mind in terms of the financial situation in 2023. If you don't find that you're making a lot of money, then perhaps it's important to focus on the inner content within yourself and within your relationships with others. For even with small means, the heart can still be expressed. That's what the I Ching states. It's not the outward luxury that's important. It's the inner feeling that is the most important thing. So if you focus on that inner feeling, that inner content, then that will be your wealth, and that will become your strength. And in a certain respect, that will become aesthetically pleasing and beautiful, that simplicity, that content. For when you're not living a luxurious life, then the things that add value are the things that have content, and to focus upon those things brings you meaning and satisfaction. The image. Fire at the foot of the mountain, the image of grace. Thus does the superior person proceed when clearing up current affairs. But the superior person dare not decide controversial issues in this way. The fire whose light illuminates the mountain and makes it pleasing does not shine far. In the same way, beautiful form suffices to brighten and to throw light upon matters that are not that important. But important questions cannot be decided in this fashion. Important questions require greater depth. So in 2023, perhaps it's wise to ask yourself, what is the content that's important for me in my life? What is the depth that I want to emphasize? Because it's the depth that I'll carry with me out of this incarnation to the next realm and beyond. It's not the pleasing forms, although the pleasing forms are quite nice for the eyes and the ears and so forth. They will not be carried with us to the next realms. So important questions cannot be answered just from the standpoint of their beauty. Important questions have to be answered from the standpoint of their depth and their content. And this may be something that is being asked of you in your personal relationships or in your work with others, in your relationship with yourself. Where is your depth? Where is your content that's meaningful to you? And how can you emphasize that and not overemphasize the grace or the beautiful form? So, 6 in the second place, the first changing line, lends grace to the beard on his chin. The beard is not an independent thing. It moves only with the chin. The image therefore means that form is to be considered only as a result and attribute of content. The beard is an unnecessary ornament, and to devote care to a beard for its own sake, without thinking for the inner content, and just looking upon the beard, which is the ornament, would certainly indicate a certain type of vanity. So here again, that changing line, the 6th in the second place, is talking about focusing on something such as a beard, which really is just a unnecessary ornament, and to not devote too much care to the beard, because there are much more important things going on than that unnecessary ornament. And we wouldn't want to be caught up in getting so focused on that ornament that we would miss the content, or else we could definitely be considered vain. And we could be considered shallow in our ability to connect with our own depth and content. If we're only connecting with the superficial, with the ornaments, then we're missing out on the content and the depth, the essence. 6 in the 4th place means grace or simplicity. A white horse comes, as if on wings. He is not a robber. He will woo at the right time. An individual is in a situation in which doubts arise as to which is better: to pursue the grace of external brilliance and beauty, or to return to simplicity. The doubt itself implies the answer. Confirmation comes from the outside, and it comes like a winged horse, a white-winged horse. The white color indicates simplicity. At first, it may be disappointing to renounce comforts that might have been obtained, yet one finds peace of mind in a true relationship with the friend who courts him or her. The winged horse is the symbol of the thoughts that transcend all limits of space and time. So here in this second changing line, the 6th and the 4th place, the question is, are we going to choose to focus on grace, beauty, or simplicity? And the encouragement is that the white horse represents simplicity, the white color. And although we've had comforts, and we may have enjoyed those comforts, we will find peace of mind in a true relationship with the friend who courts us. Well, who is this friend? Well, this friend must be that winged horse, that white-winged horse of simplicity. For the white-winged horse represents the simplicity that transcends space and time, or life and death. And finally, the 6th and the 5th place means grace in hills and gardens. The roll of silk is meager and small, humiliation, but in the end, good fortune. A man withdraws from contact with people of the lowlands, who seek nothing but magnificence and luxury, and withdraws and retreats into the solitude of the heights. There, this man finds an individual to look up to, whom he would like to have as a friend. But the gifts that he has to offer are poor and few, so that he feels ashamed. However, it is not the material gifts that count, but sincerity of feeling, and so all goes well in the end. So here we have another indication of the attachment for some people to magnificence and luxury, the people of the lowlands. And here at the very beginning of this hexagram, it talked about the idea of fire illuminating and beautifying the lower portion of the mountain. And so the people of the lowlands, people that are focused on these external luxuries and magnificent beauty and so forth. And so this man or woman retreats into the solitude of the heights, walks up the mountain essentially, gets a higher perspective, and finds a new perspective or even an individual to look up to as whom this person would like to have as a friend. But the person who walks up the mountain in their own simplicity doesn't feel like they have much to offer, so they feel ashamed. However, it is not the material gifts that count, but their sincerity of feeling, and so all goes well in the end. So this paints a picture of your sincerity of feeling throughout this whole hexagram, and the depth, the content, the essence being much more important than the beautiful ornaments that we may have or which we may have had in the past. And traveling up the mountain to get a new perspective, finding an individual or that new perspective that is very much a good friend who courts him or her, and the gift that we give to this person or to this experience, even though it may be simplicity, is the sincerity of our feeling, which is probably more wealthy and bountiful than any superficial, beautiful ornament. So moving on from there, we go to number 44, coming to meet. And this hexagram indicates a situation in which the principle of darkness, after having been eliminated secretly and unexpectedly, returns again from within and below. So of its own accord, the female principle comes to meet the male. It is an unfavorable and dangerous situation, and we must understand and promptly prevent the possible consequences. And this hexagram is linked with the 5th month, June, July, because in the summer solstice, in the northern hemisphere, the 21st of June approximately, the principle of darkness gradually becomes stronger again. Each day becomes shorter and shorter until we reach the winter solstice, December 21st. So this could indicate a shift in terms of the financial situation. The previous hexagram of grace was indicating the importance of focusing on the content and not being misled or overly focused upon the beautiful form. But here we have the idea of a situation in which the principle of darkness, that feminine yin line, is come down to the bottom of coming to meet. The previous hexagram was breakthrough, and after breakthrough we have coming to meet. The hexagram before breakthrough, I believe, was increase. So we have increase, breakthrough, and then coming to meet. And coming to meet is when a dark element comes to meet a strong element. And this element, this dark element, becomes noticeable in an unwelcome or intrusive way. And we had eliminated this dark element, but it returns secretly in a way that tries to avoid getting noticed or attention, tries furtively, done secretly, in a way that you're trying to avoid notice or attention, and unexpectedly obtrudes. Obtrude means to become noticeable in an unwelcome or intrusive way, from below and within. So this could be painting the idea of a shift in the economic opportunities, perhaps an economic downturn for the individual. Could indicate that something that had already been cast out, some part of darkness, a difficult situation, a dark principle, even though it had been eliminated previously, now returns as if to have another go at the person. It talks about this being a dangerous and unfavorable situation, and we have to be prepared and understand and prevent possible negative consequences. The judgment coming to meet the maiden is powerful. One should not marry such a maiden. The rise of the inferior element is pictured here in the image of a bold girl who lightly surrenders herself and thus seizes power. This would not be possible if the strong and light-giving element had not in turn come halfway to meet this girl, or maiden. The inferior thing, this maiden, seems so harmless and inviting that a man delights in it. It looks so small and weak that he imagines that he may dally. Dally means to waste time, procrastinate, to play. It could also mean to have a romantic or sexual involvement with a person, usually for a short time, without really loving that person. So the inferior thing seems so harmless that the superior person delights in it. It looks so small and weak that the superior person imagines that they may play and interact with it and come to no harm. And the inferior person rises only because the superior person does not regard the inferior person as dangerous, and so lends the inferior person power. If the inferior person were resisted from the first, this inferior person could never gain influence. So this can mean the inferior person can be a woman, can be a man, can be a situation, and the superior person, man or woman within you, that superior person within you, must be on the lookout for a dangerous person or situation and to not lend this person or situation any power, and to resist this person or this situation from the very beginning so that they can't gain any influence or stronghold over you. This is a very important part of this hexagram's meaning. There must be some person or some situation that's going to come up in 2023 that will be particularly difficult, unfavorable, and dangerous. So it's very important for you to promptly be aware of this and prevent possible consequences. Be on the lookout. The time of coming to meet is important in still another way. Although, as a general rule, the weak should not come to meet the strong, there are times when this has great significance. For example, when heaven and earth come to meet each other, all creatures prosper. And when a prince and his official come to meet each other, the world is put in order. And it's necessary for elements that are destined to be joined together and dependent upon each other to come to meet one another halfway. Yet the coming together must be free of dishonest or ulterior motives. Otherwise, harm will result. So the idea of heaven and earth coming together, or an official and the prince or princess coming together, yes, the weak can in certain times come to meet the strong. But in general, when the weak comes to meet the strong, then it's considered dangerous and unfavorable. So if two elements are destined to be joined together, such as heaven and earth, they'll meet each other halfway. Yet their coming together has to be free of dishonest motives. Otherwise, harm will result. So you have to ask yourself, what are my motives with this situation, with this person? Am I free of dishonesty? Do I have an ulterior motive with this situation, with this person? And if so, I probably want to back away, because harm is going to be the result. Finally, the image, under heaven, wind, the image of coming to meet. Thus does the prince act when spreading his commands and proclaiming these commands to the whole four quarters of heaven. The situation here resembles that of the hexagram contemplation. In contemplation, the wind blows over the earth, and in this hexagram coming to meet, the wind blows under heaven. In both cases, the wind goes everywhere. There, in contemplation, the wind is on the earth and symbolizes the ruler, taking note of the conditions of his or her kingdom. Here, the wind blows from above and symbolizes the influence exercised by the ruler through their commands. Heaven is far from the things of earth, but heaven sets the things of earth in motion by means of the wind. The ruler is far from his people or her people, but the ruler sets them in motion by means of their commands and decrees. So here we have the idea of a higher power, the heaven, that rules over humanity, over the earth, setting things in motion, and we have to be prepared to be moved by the means or the motion that we are set to by the ruler of heaven. So, just as the wind is on earth, symbolizing the ruler taking note of the conditions in their kingdom, here the wind blows from above, from heaven, and symbolizes the strong influence exerted by the heavenly ruler through their commands. So it indicates a time that we are not necessarily in control of, that we have to simply adapt to the divine decrees that come forth from heaven, whatever those manifest as, increase, decrease, retreat, moving forward, whatever the right action or not acting or acting in the moment happens to be. It's important for us to pay attention, be very conscious of potential danger, as coming to meet does indicate an unfavorable and dangerous situation. So consider things that you may have eliminated in the past or may have been eliminated for you in the past as trying to move back into your life and see if you can see the seeds of these future experiences in your mind's eye and see how you could prevent them through timely precautions. And be aware of any inferior elements or persons who lightly come into your life and you think, oh, this is no problem. This I can have a good time with this or play with this, or I won't come to any harm with this person or this situation. Be very careful of who you interact with and what type of situations you involve yourself in, because the indication is that this particular person or this particular element or situation could be very dangerous, because the superior person, which it's addressing us as the superior person, we may not regard this inferior element as dangerous or problematic. And so we may give it power by not looking clearly upon it. So important to look clearly with wide open eyes and see if there's anything that needs to be resisted right from the very beginning. It's important to do so, whether that's a person or a situation or a particular element, so that the inferior person or situation can never gain a strong influence upon us. Almost like we're retreating up the mountain away from the simplicity, or not away from the simplicity, but toward the simplicity, and away from the superficial ornament of beauty toward a deeper connection with essence and content. So those are the messages I have for you. I know this is a long reading, and I hope that you'll listen to this once again and perhaps jot down some of the most important messages and try to incorporate these into your life experience. And pay attention in 2023. Keep your eyes and your mind open, and try not to let yourself be fooled into a situation that really isn't for your best. Thanks again, and take care.